Hello, listener, and hello, watcher on YouTube. You are very welcome to the next in my series of Mindful Meets. And today I am speaking to Vicky Fox. Those of you that are watching on YouTube, you can see her. Vicky Fox is now going to wave. Hello, Vicky Fox. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Are you?
Really, really well, thank you.
Good.
And Vicky is a clinical reflexologist, which is not very easy to say very early in the morning, but I've done a bit of a warm up, so I just about managed to spit it out. And so today we're going to have a nice little casual conversation about reflexology, about what it is and how it can help and why it's a really good complementary treatment to think about, something to consider. And we'll have a conversation about the kinds of things that you might be suffering from, for which reflexology might either be a really good go-to to sort that out or a complementary addition to what you might be having at the moment. And also we'll learn a little bit more about Vicky. She's looking at me as if to say, oh, really? Do we have to? No. So yes, we will. So Vicky, just to start off with, just give us a short overview, because I have to put my hand up and say I actually have very little experience of reflexology, and maybe our listener is in the same camp. What exactly is it?
Okay, so reflexology is a complementary or holistic therapy, whichever you like, whichever title you like to put on it. That's quite an ancient therapy. And it's used as a standalone treatment for people who are looking to just have a nice relaxing treatment, like you would go to a spa and a massage, or it can be more clinical based and actually be a great complement to conditions which people are already seeking treatment from the doctor or hospital. And it's a good addition to that. And the way that it works is by working reflex points through the feet. There are so many nerve endings in the feet and the hands, and it's a great way of communicating to your entire body through those nerve endings and connective tissue and fascia within the feet and the hands. So it's more than a massage. There are certain points within the feet that then map through to the rest of the body. So it, like I say, it can be just a great relaxing overall treatment, or you can do particular treatment plans for certain conditions by working specific points on the foot.
Right.
We can never say that we can cure. That's something that, you know, we're not allowed to do, because there's no research behind it being that specific. But yeah, so it's using the hands and the feet as a tool to maintain a great balance within the body, to allow it to be able to fight or manage whatever else is going on with it.
Fascinating. I'm sitting here and my feet and toes are sort of moving, just imagining what your feet might be like on what your hands might be like on my feet, I should say, you know, pressing in all the right places. So you said that it's an ancient treatment. So where did it start? Where did the sort of discovery about the connections with the various pressure points and the rest of the body, how did that originate?
So there are, in fact, drawings going back, so almost like hieroglyphic drawings, if you like, of feet doctors and people working on feet back in ancient times. And then it's been a mixture, I suppose, of Chinese medicine and all the great things that come out of acupressure, acupuncture, meridians, and things like that. And then it moved over to the West in another form. So it's really evolved, and it seems to be gathering force more again at the moment as a go-to therapy that originated back in probably the Egyptian times. Nobody knew exactly when it started, but it's one of those things where it's evolved, and then different people have taken different parts of it and evolved it as something that it is that we see today.
Yes.
I mean, I have got all of my literature somewhere about the historic and ancient aspects that we learned about, and there's been a few people along the way that have been real forerunners with it. And then it just evolves each time as well. There are lots of people out there that are still teaching and coming up with different techniques to be able to deliver it as a better treatment all the time. And especially the more research that's done and the more we continue to learn about the human body, then this treatment evolves from what we learned that it was back in Egyptians.
And also the results that people get. And I guess, you know, hand in hand with other treatments, perhaps more specifically, it's about well-being, isn't it? And when I started this podcast, it was about, yes, me talking about the way I help people with their relationships with food and help them think better and help them feel better. But through the Mindful Meets, I also wanted to introduce ways of people to improve their well-being. And, you know, even if it's just a point of somebody having contact with your body, you know, we all know that how effective just a massage can be. And also I was thinking about feet and how, you know, if there's something even not quite right in our feet, how miserable that makes us feel. So I'm kind of thinking that in a way is an indication, isn't it, about how important those areas in the feet are. It might not be localized, but if something is not right in the feet, maybe we feel it somewhere else, but we're not quite sure, we haven't quite put our finger on it. So could people come to you just because they're just not feeling quite right? They just feel, I don't know, fatigued, or they're just sort of looking for something to make them feel a little bit better, and they don't really have anything tangible that they can go to the doctor with. Does that happen?
Absolutely. I mean, the great thing about reflexology is that it does have so many benefits, and I suppose the most important thing that I want to get over to people is that it's about bringing your body back to its best natural state of balance to be able to then cope with everything else that it has ongoing. I mean, the incredible thing about reflexology is that it can energize you, it can help increase circulation, and which then in turn has so many different benefits because of allowing things to flow better within the body, to help medicines and things actually work more efficiently because you're increasing that circulatory system as well as the lymphatic system.
Yes.
So the power of touch and how we can work specifically and in a specific way on the feet to then help the body be more in tune is really powerful. But again, just going back to what I've just said, in the power of touch, and even just somebody touching your feet and touching your hands, even if it is in a generic massage way, it can evoke all of the release of all those amazing hormones as well. So the power of touch probably is the most important thing. And we just think that it's whatever we're manipulating within the feet, but actually the different fibers that we have all over our body and the stimulation of those fibers and the releasing effect in the brain of oxytocin and these amazing chemicals that help us to switch from from the sympathetic nervous system, which is our state of stress and fight and flight, to our parasympathetic, which is much calmer and restful. It can just be through somebody just even touching and holding the other person. So there's so many different aspects to it. It's very difficult to put it all in a nutshell.
Yes.
But and when I did my training, we were also trained in different areas for specific things like palliative care, like for preconception and maternity, and for treating people with post-traumatic stress. So again, we can adapt how we work on the feet to help people with those particular areas.
Fascinating. And I was just thinking about what you were saying about touch, and on a day-to-day basis, we know how nice it is when someone holds our hand. We know how lovely it is when we get a nice sort of hugging squeeze, don't we? We just sort of feel that stimulation. And I always think that I would remember going to a particular person to have a manicure occasionally, and I remember that she used to do a hand massage as part of the treatment, and that was actually the best bit.
Yeah,
you know, to actually have it all, you know, squeeze and the fingers just slightly elongated, and yeah, all of that was just such a stimulating but also relaxing experience. So it's interesting what you were talking about, those two sympathetic systems within the body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've been really interested, because when I came into reflexology, I always had only seen it in the more spiritual arena. So at shows where you'd have tarot card readings and crystals and things, and it can have its place there, but I want to really start to emphasize the health benefits of reflexology and put it more into an arena with physiotherapy, with eating right, because I really believe that the benefits of it aren't just the woo-woo that,
Yeah, sure. Yes.
So I've done quite a bit, again, since my training, I've done quite a bit of looking into the fascia and connective tissue system, and the happy hormones that it releases within the brain when you do touch different aspects of the body. So we know that a lovely hug is nice, and you know that when you're hand massage, it makes you feel nice, but you don't necessarily know why. And when you tell people that it's because it's releasing oxytocin, it's literally releasing a drug, a happy drug into your brain, it's like, well, wow, of course that's going to make you feel better.
So you heard it here. Hugging is important. Get out there and hug, or be hugged as much as possible, and get that hand held and massaged.
Yeah.
And yes. And also, you know, having your feet touched as part of the relationship. We all know that that's very nice too, don't we? So it's all sort of tied together. Oh yes, so I've got all my hands and fingers and toes are definitely tingling now. But of course, you haven't always done this. So, listener, let me tell you. So I met Vicky in a completely different situation, I suppose, in that some of you may know that I used to do corporate training and coaching in presentation skills and communication and things like that. And I met Vicky through a colleague who was working with him in a similar area. And so we were in touch. And then all of a sudden, you know, up pops this Instagram account, Reflexology with Vicky, I think. Is that what it's called? Yes. And I'm going, oh, this is interesting. So it's quite a departure, Vicky. So tell us about your
journey,
your adventure. Yes, exactly.
Oh gosh, I think, well, going back to the beginning, I first went into work and worked at a county council for 16 years. Got married, had my children during that time. Always felt very frustrated working in that job. And then the opportunity came where I just thought, I can't do this anymore. Our circumstances changed at home in that my husband was going to be working away during the week. So I thought, right, I'm going to set up my own business so that I can be at home for the children, not rely so much on childcare, and earn some money obviously at the same time. So I went into the world of virtual assistants and set myself up as a freelance PA admin person, if you like. And then I really enjoyed doing that for about 5 or 6 years. And then, as in most people's story, COVID hit. And I'd got one particular client who was making up quite a percentage of my overall income. And actually, the COVID had such a positive impact on them, they went to actually have premises and staff, so they didn't need somebody freelance anymore. So you have that, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose all of this percentage of my income. What am I going to do? Am I going to go out and continue marketing as a VA, or am I going to diversify a bit? So I'd always been interested in reflexology because I'd had it when I was actually pregnant with my first child, my son. My midwife was trained in it, which now seems to be quite a common thing. A lot of midwives are trained in reflexology. So I decided to do the training course and qualify as a reflexologist because I wanted to find that balance now between being on the laptop and not being on the laptop, but still bringing in an income and doing something that I was mega passionate about, that I wanted to read about in the evenings, that I wanted at the end of the day to make somebody feel really nice, because you go to the hairdressers and you always think, what a lovely job, because you're making that person feel really nice, hopefully, when they leave. So I bit the bullet. I did all my training, which was a year's course, and because I wanted to be trained at the highest level that you could be.
That's level 5, isn't it? You're at level 5, yeah.
Clinical. And then, yeah, so the rest is history. So I now run the 2 businesses alongside each other. So it gives me a really healthy balance of, I love and I really enjoy working with the VA clients that I do. And I love being involved in this new world within the health and well-being sector as well. And yeah, at the moment, just not looking back. Really
brilliant. How great. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? It's the impact that COVID has had differently on different people, because it actually brought virtually my corporate job to a standstill. And it was at that point that I thought, well, this is maybe now the time just to formalize what I'd started doing in the coaching, in the eating, having healed myself, really, having got myself to a really good place, and deciding, well, I want to try and help other people get off the dieting yo-yo and stop the binging and feel much more comfortable in themselves and with their food. And because I've always worked like you, I just couldn't imagine not doing anything. You know, I did have a greenhouse, but I wasn't going to be in there every single day. That didn't suit me at all. So actually, that dedicated time when there was no other work allowed me to build the website, allowed me to learn how to get a bit more digital visibility. And in a way, for the clinic, it was a blessing, because I was able to build it up sufficiently to say, oh gosh, yes, this is definitely what I want to do, and that it can be a viable business, you know, as well. And I also wonder, you know, as we get a little bit older, that we do want to do something that is connecting with people a little more, that it feels more, I hesitate to say worthwhile, because that's not really what I mean. I think I mean more personally satisfying, that sometimes we have this thing inside us that says, I want to actually give something to the heart and soul and physicality of someone, maybe rather than just in their brain, or to help their career, or, you know, I really want to feel that I'm touching, either literally like you or metaphorically like me, their lives, so that they walk out of the door and something is different.
Yeah, I think that part of making somebody feel better in whatever capacity that is. So for instance, I've been treating a few people that have been going through cancer treatments, and they've got such a busy mind. It's difficult to get relief from that unconscious load that's always there. And so to have somebody that sits in the chair, and even that for that short period of time of an hour, you've given them relief from that, and they're so grateful and so thankful for it. And that, in a selfish way, that I'm helping them, but it selfishly, it makes me feel really nice. It's lovely. And to be able to give it to my children as well, because they absolutely love it. My daughter suffers terribly with eczema, so I give her some treatments because it can really help to, again, help the toxins be released more efficiently through the body. And my son struggled a bit with anxiety, so when they're struggling, I can say to them, pop in the chair, I can do something tangible to help them, you know, that even if just for that period of time, it just helps settle. It's yeah, selfishly, it's a really lovely thing to do, but they, you know, those people get so much from it as well. And I think you're right, COVID has made people sort of take that step back and really think about what again, I hate to use it, but what success means to them.
Yes.
To have the lots of money, the great career, or do something where you can just feel like you're making an impact. And that's what I feel like I'm doing in this arena more so.
Of course. And, you know, for some people, the career and everything is very important to them. But I think you know, to be able to have the opportunity to do something different. I wonder if there are any statistics out there. Maybe it's almost a bit too early yet, but people who changed careers as a result. It would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? And to see the sorts of areas that they went into. And I wonder whether, you know, there has been an increase in people going into complementary medicine and counselling and coaching, you know, into more of those well-being services than maybe before as a result. I'm just putting that out there.
I think people are definitely looking for an alternative to drugs. Not, you know, not the hard drug, the drugs that you'd get from the doctor.
Medication, we might say.
Medication, but they're not, it's not that this would ever replace that arena, but it's something where it can work alongside to make that even more efficient within your body. So it's, and I think people are seeking that, and so I think the holistic and the complementary therapy sector is booming at the moment, because they're you know, doctors are looking towards more things like social prescribing and things like that. So those arenas are starting to look outside the box as well, because sometimes it is the more natural things that are going to help people rather than the medication. So it's trying to find that balance. One, you know, that we could never survive without that medical input at all, but there's definitely a place here that helps that process as well.
And it also makes sense, doesn't it? Because the NHS is under so much strain. You know, if there's a way to share that burden, if there's a way to enhance the recovery of a particular patient by suggesting an additional complementary medicine, then it just makes sense. I mean, sadly, at the moment, there's still, in my view, experience that I have gained from clients who've come on and sort of talked to me about it, there's still a lack of nutritional advice to help conditions. I mean, I think it's getting a little bit better, but I mean, I think also people will go to the doctor, and a lot of the time they expect medication, and if they don't get medication, there is an assumption that they're actually not going to be able to feel better. Whereas in fact, there are people like yourself and nutritional therapists, you know, who can advise perhaps other things to try before going down the medication route. And a lot of what I try to do on the Mindful Meets is to try and improve or to widen people's awareness about what is out there. So last time I was speaking to Alexandra Willis, who works in essential oils. And lots of different conditions that can be aided and helped with essential oils. You know, it's not just sticking it in a burner or, you know, using it in massage or reflexology. You can actually take them inside your body and they will help, you know. So just to sort of try and encourage people to look as widely as possible at all the complementary areas that might be out there that could help them feel better. And you mentioned sorry, Vicky, you're going to say.
No, I was just going to go on from what you were saying, that I think we've lost and forgotten what we're made of. And we're made up of all of these different elements around us. And we're a natural being, and we have so much synergy with the natural world around us that we have forgotten how to be, and we're treating ourselves more and more like robots that should be able to go to the garage and get fixed with medication and come back, rather than looking at the whole picture of what makes us tick. And I was at a show last week, and there's lots of personal trainers, loads of gyms out there. The gyms are packed, people are taking on personal trainers and fitness classes, which is awesome. But I thought it was quite profound how few people there were there about the nutritional aspect. So what we're putting into our bodies, we're sort of skipping that part, eating all the rubbish and going to the gym to make ourselves feel better. Whereas actually, if we got the nutrition bit right, which is the natural thing that our bodies need, then not that you would then not need the gym, but my God, it would make life so much easier if we got that component right. But it's still not out there as much as it should be, which I know you're obviously trying to do.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm just writing my next Mindful Bite, which is my Monday morning little sort of start the week with something to think about, which anyone listening can sign up for on my website. And the one I'm writing at the moment is about exercise, and particularly that you cannot outrun a bad diet, and how much exercise you have to do to burn off a certain number of calories. And in fact, breaking the link between weight and exercise is one of the healthiest psychologically things that you can do. And focusing on exercise for health and for well-being and for fitness, but actually forget the fact that it can be a counter to either overeating or eating a bad diet, because it absolutely can't. So I agree with you, the whole holistic thing. And in fact, when I work with people, I touch on the fact that I don't touch on the fact, I actually talk a lot about it, about looking at your wider well-being. So how much self-care, and are you relaxing, and do you exercise for the right reasons, and do you have space for yourself, and where are you on the family ladder of hierarchy? Are you down the bottom? And what impact is that having on you? And I think you're absolutely right that we have to understand that these different systems, these different elements are not separate, but they all work together. The number of people that I talk to who have problems with food, with their eating, and who are also on the bottom rung at home is quite incredible. There is a direct link, between self-esteem and self-respect, and therefore a sense of, am I worthy of looking after myself, and therefore am I worthy of nourishing myself, and all of that is so interrelated. And I wonder whether sometimes these complementary medicines for some people can feel like a luxury. Like going for a massage. Oh well, it costs X, and I don't really think I should. Whereas in fact, this is what we should be doing, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's why in my Instagram pieces, I'm trying to put out there a little bit more about the science and more detail about the benefits. It's not just a nice massage for your feet, but this is actually helping your system be healthier. And one of the things I've realized along this journey as well is that I've trained in reflexology, but my goodness, am I also a therapist? you know, I hadn't quite expected the amount of people that were going to come and talk. I thought everybody would come, sit in the chair and fall asleep and just totally relax and switch off. But I think because unlike a massage where a lot of the time you're maybe face down having a back massage, you're sat either upright or reclined all the way back. And some people want to talk all the way through. And I hadn't anticipated that. And it took me a while to be able to know that I could do a good treatment and talk to this person as well. And I think that it's almost a talking therapy and of a health benefit at the same time. So it's funny how interlinked some of these things can be without it even being recognized. And I think like with you, with your eating clinic, on the face of it, it might then be all to do with nutrition, but the psychological aspect, which I think is becoming a much bigger impact on people's lives. It builds a bigger picture about that person, and you can unlock things. And one of the things about reflexology is that it can tell emotionally. It might not always be physically what's wrong with the body, but a lot of the time what's emotionally wrong with the body as well. And emotional and eating and, you know, psychological and the benefits of reflexology, they all definitely link together.
Yeah,
being able to impart that on people,
yes,
and get that across isn't always easy, but yeah, the two are very powerful tools together.
They are. I mean, well, I probably spend more time on psychological interventions than I do talking about a solid nutritional platform. I mean, both are essential to get to this food freedom that I talk about a lot, because it's all about unlocking the behaviors, and in order to unlock and then change the behaviors, you have to understand where the behaviors come from and what the drivers are and where the triggers are. So all of that has to be identified, or at least help somebody to identify it for themselves, because that's what, you know, my work is all about, making sure that somebody's got the self-efficacy and the resilience and the understanding to actually then leave me and be able to do this mindful eating malarkey on their own, you know, and actually have that freedom, have that lovely, you know, liberated relationship, you know, which is what it's all about.
Control.
Yeah about managing it, but managing it in a free and relaxed way, not in an obsessive way where the control is actually in the hands of something else, either an app or a tracker or a diet plan, because everything we need to have this happy relationship with food is within us. We don't need any of that stuff. We just have to relearn it, to trust ourselves, and then we can, you know, find it. I just wanted to go back to when you were talking about eczema, and you were talking also then about you having reflexology. Was it postnatally, you said, or before you had?
No, so I was getting towards the due date with I can't remember if I'd just gone overdue, and so my midwife had said come and have a treatment, because it could, again, a certain routine that we can do can, if you work certain points, it can help to release oxytocin, which can help to bring on labour. And so there are certain points on pregnant ladies that during the pregnancy we don't work because of that very
yes, I see,
you're trying to avoid. So so I had it with a view to helping bring on labour. Didn't know anything about reflexology, but it was that my midwife had suggested it, and then it was just, it had such a profound effect on me. It never left me, and therefore every time on the odd occasion I did go to a spa or a salon or anything like that, I'd always look for the reflexology treatment. And in a lot of cases it wasn't available. So
and you said eczema, and then what might be another 2 or 3 typical things that people might come to you with?
People suffering with symptoms of the menopause. So I get quite a few people that come for treatments to help with the symptoms, particularly the lack of sleep and the mood swings that people get. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I suppose stress and anxiety is probably the most popular reason why people come and see me. And people who have gone through cancer treatment, because it can help people that have gone through chemotherapy. It can help, like I say, it travel around the body and make it more efficient. So things like that. I've had quite a few people who are pregnant, so they and a few people that are hoping to conceive. So I've treated, well, I say I support people through those kinds of journeys. Arthritis and pain in the joints, because we can help with pain management.
And I wonder actually that maybe one actually doesn't necessarily need to think, oh, I've got this specific thing. I would actually quite like to send people out and just go, just have a session and see how it feels. And I'm actually going to book one. I'm going to find my local one, because sadly, Vicky, you are not local to me. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
I know it would.
To actually book one and just go and just have treatment. Yeah. And so, sorry.
No, I was going to say, quite a few people that have done that and have booked one-off treatments with me now, then go, oh my gosh, I feel like I need it. You know, it's something that I feel like, oh, I could really do with a reflexology session. And people find that, who come now for regular maintenance. So say they've come for a specific condition, and I'll work on them regularly for 6 sessions, whether that's once a week or once every 2 weeks, to get on top of whatever it is that they're struggling with. And then eventually we'll elongate those treatments out to once a month and have regular maintenance, so that we can keep on top of whatever's going on. And they say, oh my, I feel ready, I'm ready. It does get a bit addictive, because you know how amazing that it makes you feel afterwards.
Yeah,
I'd recommend anybody to go and try it. Migraines, headaches, congestion, if you're suffering with cold and flu, I would just recommend getting on a reflexologist website and having a look at the things that they say that reflexology can help with. We are bound by quite strict advertising laws, so it's very difficult to be specific in all of the things that reflexology can help with, again, because there's no research in a lot of areas to prove things, whereas we know that there are so many negative aspects to research and complementary therapies, because they can be sabotaged, if you like, by people with companies with lots of money that feed into the medical world. But it's just such a benefit for your overall body. I say it's like having an all-over body massage, but you only have to take socks off.
Oh, that's a great strap line, isn't it? Yeah,
it's difficult to put on paper everything that reflexology can cover, but ultimately it's about getting the body to that natural state of homeostasis, its natural state of balance, in order for those environmental factors or emotional factors that are banging on the door to make life difficult. And reflexology almost goes, no, we're going to push those away and keep you as naturally balanced as possible.
Wonderful. But of course, anybody who lives in the Derbyshire area in the UK is very fortunate, because they can see you in person, they can see you face to face. And I know you can do a sort of a version online, can't you? But ideally, obviously, it's a hands-on treatment. That's the whole point. If we go back to that early discussion we had about touch. So anyone in that area, they can find you on Instagram. I will put the links in the blurb. So website link, anywhere else that they might be able to find you, Vicky.
My website, Facebook, and Instagram are the main places. Yeah, and
Brilliant.
I think I'm on the Association of Reflexologists directory as well. But yeah, if you wanted to find me directly, then come and look at my socials.
Super. But if nothing else, so if someone's listening, I mean, I do have some listeners from overseas, so hello if you're one of those. But if nothing else, for our listener and watcher to actually think, I think I'm going to have a go at this. If they haven't already, to go and just try it and see how it makes them feel.
Absolutely. I think just the more I'm a massive believer in collaboration and not competition. So one reflexologist won't fit one person, but there might be another one in their area that does. So I would say that if you do go and you don't have the best experience, don't stop. Try until you find the one that fits with you. You know, because you will make that connection and you will make that link, and there will be somebody who specializes in one area maybe more particularly than another reflexologist. So somebody might be more niche in lymphatic drainage, and somebody might be more niche in the menopause and fertility side of it. So yeah, go and try it. But yeah, you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your perfect reflexologist, I think.
Oh, I love it. Oh, Vicky, thank you so much. Gosh, the time has flown. It's been a really, really super discussion. Thank you. So what's left for your day? Do you have to go out and look after your sheep in that wonderful rural idyll that you live in?
Yeah, so they've had hay this morning and they've had their nuts and mash. So my little flock of Rylands, I've sorted them out already. And then it's a combination. I've got a treatment booked in with somebody this afternoon, talking to your lovely self this morning. So catching up on a bit of VA work as well. And then that's it. But another busy week, because at the moment I'm really doing more in terms of getting out there to shows and trying to build some really good relationships, and trying to actually set up a wellbeing hub within the area that I live as well, to bring in lots of different people that can, because I don't think people know what a lot of people are out there or what a lot of people can do to help them. So I'm trying to put together a bit of a wellbeing hub so that people can come and see what is out there to help them. So that's my next project.
Oh, that's a great idea. So that's obviously in its infancy as we're talking now, but
Absolutely.
as it gets up and running, I'll put that on the blurb of the podcast, so that anyone listening a little bit later on can maybe access that if they happen to be in the Derbyshire area. Brilliant.
Definitely.
Oh, Vicky, thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight to see you again and to chat and to help sort of, I suppose, build more awareness and understanding reflexology. It sounds absolutely fabulous, and I'm about to book my session.
Good. I'm pleased to hear it.